Racism has never been a less important factor than today, but it has never been a more important factor for the Democrats to get Black people angry, mobilized to vote for the Democratic Party, even though their policies, in my opinion, are hurting the very people that they claim that they care about.
This is Uncle Stu, and I want to ask you a question. My question is, how would you feel if someone called you stupid versus someone treating you as if you're stupid? Let me use a nicer terminology. How would you feel if someone said you're inferior versus treating you like you're inferior? This is going to be a deep topic that we're going to discuss in this video on the history of Larry Elders.
Emancipated Studios presents Come and Have a Seat at the Table with Uncle Stu.
Welcome. This is Uncle Stu, and I just want to make a disclaimer. I am not here to endorse Larry Elder for President of the United States. I am merely taking certain things that he said, and I am looking for the policy behind the personality. As I've stated to you in my last video, I want you to be able to vote more based on policy than personality. And many times we are voting personalities and we're not voting policies. I understand, once again, that politics is complex, that everybody don't want to talk about it, but yet politics affects us each and every single day. Now, as I stated earlier in this video, what does it feel like to be called ignorant or stupid or inferior versus someone treating you that way? I want to now bring in a conversation that Larry Elders had in an interview. And I've heard him make this statement more than once, but I think it's time that we have a real conversation about the subject. Let's hear what Larry Elders has to say.
The Democrats are real good at claiming America is systemically racist and that virtually every issue has to do with race. Whether it's inequality, whether it's bad schools, whether it's the alleged police brutality, it's all about race, 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 because the Democrats know the most loyal part of their base are Black people. And as long as you can convince Black people that they're under siege, that they're oppressed, and we, by the way, are the saviors, those guys over there, those dastardly Republicans, they wear the black hat, we wear the white hat, they're going to get that 90 to 95% near monolithic Black vote without which they cannot win. I can refute that in ways I think others cannot.
You heard what he had to say. I want to focus in on this loyalty to the Democratic Party. And I really want to focus into the loyalty of a party that continually tells the African American community, you're stupid, you're dumb, and you're inferior. Now, they cover this up with other terminologies such as systematic racism, oppression, and pointing their finger at the other party on a continual basis. But I want to make a challenge in this video. My first challenge is, if you're a parent, how would you feel knowing that someone says you're not smart enough to make a choice as to where your child should go to school? You're not smart enough to make those decisions. We will make those decisions for you, and we is the government. We'll make the decision as to where your child goes to school, the quality of education that your child will have, and we'll make the decision as to how we want to socialize your girls as well as your boys. We'll make that decision because you're not smart enough to make a choice to where your children gets an education. Or how about this? You're not smart enough to learn the English language. You're not smart at all. You can't read, you can't write, and therefore, because the language is so difficult for you to learn, we'll create and advocate for your language, historically called Ebonics. And we'll use that as a language, although it is not universal language. It is not used in business, it's not used in colleges, it's not used anywhere else but in your area because you're not smart enough. Just you, because everybody around the world has studied and written in English, but you're inferior. You're not smart enough to learn the English language, so we'll advocate for the standards of the English language to be brought down. We recognize that you're not smart enough to pass certain exams and to take certain tests. We understand that you can't think on that level. And because you can't think on that level, we will lower the standards for you because we understand that you're not smart enough to compete on the academic scale. And third, we will put you in homes we advocate for you because you're not financially savvy enough. You're not financially ready to own a home, to buy property, to create businesses that creates the economy, that creates the jobs for your people. You're not smart enough to do these things. So we will put you in certain places and allow you to live there. It's gonna be in a different place than where I live, where my family lives, but you'll have a roof over your head and we'll give you some food because you're not smart enough to be independent and to totally be free. And they say this now that they have new advocates that continues to say the same thing. Now they put some things and some terms on it. They tell you that you're oppressed, that the man is holding you back, that the system is holding you down. It's the system doing this and the system doing that. And yet when you ask these people, well, can you explain this? They always give you these weird languages and go into all of these details and throw all of these statistics at you. But at the end of the day, I argue that we as African Americans are not inferior. Today, we celebrate Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders is proving through his actions he is not an inferior coach. He has the whole college football league shook up just on the fact that he can produce. African Americans, if you look at sports, has come in and dominated different areas of sports. They dominated tennis. They dominated golf. They're dominating in gymnastics. They're dominating on the basketball court, dominating on the football court. They dominated in baseball. You don't think that if the Democratic Party was to loose you, or better yet, you loosed yourself from the Democratic Party and learned how to own your own businesses, made choices as to where your children want to go to school, or even made the choice that there are certain things that we are making choices to do that we don't have to do anymore because we're not going to run the game anymore. We're not going to follow policies that has done nothing but destroy us. Community, whether we're rich, middle class, or poor, each one of us has at least been touched by something or some policy has affected us. Now, I know there's a myriad of different issues, but again, Larry Elders speaks on that myriad of issues. But before I go to Larry Elders, just in case you think I was being too harsh, or just in case you think I'm not speaking eloquently enough on the myriad of subjects, let me introduce you to now Malcolm X. And I want you to hear what Malcolm X has to say about liberals and how they really think about African Americans.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservative, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leaders who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gain, token progress.
You heard what Malcolm had to say. This was spoken in the early 60s, and I still see this same game being played over 50, 60 years later. What I'm saying to you is this: begin to ask your politicians, people that represent you. Is what this video is saying true? Listen at what they speak to you. Do they speak to you, or do they just speak to your color? I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist, because I know it does. I've traveled the world over 2 times. And so I know what racism is. I know what systematic oppression looks like, because I've traveled the world and seen oppression, seen where people couldn't even speak, seen countries where if you spoke about their leader, or even if you spoke about some of the corruption going on in that country, you may not make it back home that night, or you pray to God you can wake up the next day. That's oppression. I'm not saying America is perfect. What I am saying is, if we work hard and in today's times, we can do what other people never believed we can do. And that's produce and be successful in every area we choose to be successful in. One of the greatest things that my dad, may he rest in peace now, taught me, and my great-grandfather, may he rest in peace, taught me, the power of freedom lies in your ownership. The power of freedom lies in your ownership of who you are mentally, who you are spiritually, and what you do each and every single day. Both of my grandfathers owned home, one in Sumter, South Carolina, the other one in Spartanburg, South Carolina. My father always taught me, if you want to succeed, you're going to go to work an hour early and stay an hour late. And you're going to have to put in a little bit more than maybe the one that you're competing against. But in the end, you will win. I'm here to tell you, there is nothing and no one holding you back but yourself and the choices each and every single one of us make. We all don't start from the right starting line. We all can argue that we're not given the right starting line or right starting measure. Each one of us comes from different backgrounds. We face different issues. We face different circumstances. I get it. But one of the things I always learned when I moved out of New York is not where you're from, it's where you're at and where you want to go. Let's hear this advice that Larry Elder's father gave to him.
And my dad said, Democrats want to give you something for nothing. When you try and get something for nothing, you almost always end up getting nothing for something. One of his favorite expressions. My dad also told my brothers and me the following: hard work wins. You get out of life what you put into it. Larry, you cannot control the outcome, but you are 100% in control of the effort. Before you moan or groan about what somebody did to you or said to you, go to the nearest mirror, look at it and say to yourself, what could I have done to change the outcome? And finally, my dad said this: no matter how hard you work, how good you are, sooner or later, bad things are going to happen to you. How you deal with those bad things will tell your mother and me if we raised a man.
So my advice to you, be a thinking man or woman. Learn to ask questions. Get out of your feelings and look at the facts. If we've been trying to do something over and over again for the last 50 years and nothing has changed, it's time to think and go somewhere else where a change can come. It's time to stop these old arguments and learn how to do things a different way. We can make it. We can succeed. As a podcaster, I want to bring you best information, well-rounded information. Help me, help you. I want to see you make more than me, go 2 times farther than me, and be 3 times more successful than me. I will teach you my mistakes so that you don't make them. I will try to give you the best of knowledge and information for the times we are living in so that you can succeed. Hit that like for the algorithm. Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. And if you have a question or a comment, send me an email, write a comment. I will respond to the comments and I will surely read your emails. This is Uncle Stu, and this has been another episode of Seat at the Table. Peace.